Alright, so being that Nintendo just unveiled a first look at the next Nintendo Switch console, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about what I would love to see with it. I want to keep this video brief. This is only my initial thoughts on what I think the ideal successor to the Nintendo Switch would be. And also, I know that most of these things probably will never happen. This is just my dream console. Anyway, without further ado, let's go and get right into the video. Alright, so to start this out, I wanted to go over a few things that I would love to see added to the profile and friends portion of the new console. For starters, one thing that I've always wanted to see is an achievement system. For example of what I mean, over on PlayStation, each game has an assortment of tasks where completing them gives you trophies. I think that there are a lot of interesting ways that this kind of thing could be implemented, such as allowing the user to utilize these trophies, or whatever you want to call them, in order to get perks like extra elements to make your profile icon. Currently, the only way to have extra profile icon elements is through Nintendo Switch Online, but I think tying this to the achievement system would further incentivize people to go after these tasks. I know a lot of people are against the whole creating arbitrary goals for each game, but me personally, I have no issue with it. A few of the other ideas for what these achievements could be used for ties into a few of my other ideas. For one, I think that we should really be able to send messages directly with friends. And with that being said, you should be able to DM people through the Nintendo Switch mobile app just to go ahead and give that some added value too. And maybe within these DMs you could unlock emotes through the achievement points as well. So let's just say we are talking about Super Mario Odyssey. Maybe there is a big achievement for getting every moon in the game, and in turn you get some kind of Odyssey related emoji or something. And while we are talking about communicating with friends directly through the console, I think it's about time that we add voice chat. And I don't mean using an app on a smartphone, let's just implement it directly onto the system. Make it so you can create a party so multiple people could be in one call, and same thing for text messaging too. Group chat should hopefully be a thing. And speaking of this friend system, wouldn't it be cool if when scrolling through the eShop it showed you specifically which of your friends owned a particular game? Or maybe you could gift games to friends, such as can be done on a platform like Steam. There are so many issues in the eShop and I really don't have the energy to rant about it, so Nintendo Hero, take it away.
I love the original Switch, but easily one of my biggest problems with it is the eShop, so I'd love to see it be improved with the Switch too. This ties into the system UI overhaul, as the simple and plain look of the current eShop is pretty uninteresting and could be a lot better. Some more appealing menu and icon design would help, but the load times are what really need to be improved in order to make the experience of using the eShop better. The current eShop is incredibly slow and laggy, which makes casually browsing it a pretty unappealing option. Hopefully the more powerful system will be able to load the eShop quicker and more consistently. It also doesn't help that there's no system for quality control when searching for games beyond a simple featured page, which is a big step back from the more in-depth sorting systems of past consoles like the Wii U and 3DS. There are just way too many low-quality games that flood the eShop constantly, making it really difficult to try and find any great indie games that might get hidden underneath all the trash. I'd like to see a basic review system make a return as well, so there would be a clear indication of what games have better reviews with a higher number of players than others. Some updated sound effects and adding a fun music track while shopping would go a long way in making the storefront more inviting as well. I spent countless hours just exploring the eShop on my 3DS, as it just had so much personality and charm. I'm sure everyone watching remembers the fantastic music from the Wii Shopping channel, and there were plenty of other bangers from the Wii U and 3DS eShops as well. Nintendo has already made great digital storefronts in the past, so I'm really hoping they'll correct their mistakes from this past generation and make some big improvements to the new eShop. I think another one of the biggest ways the Switch 2 can impress people is to have really strong third-party support right off the bat. It took the original Switch a few years to finally gain the trust of a lot of major third-party developers, but this time around I'd love to see some big games at launch or releasing soon after. I'm talking about games like Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Street Fighter VI, Red Dead Redemption 2, or the new Doom game. Of course, people mainly buy Nintendo consoles for the big first-party experiences, and the Switch has also become the perfect machine for enjoying indie games, but having multiple huge third-party games at the start of the console's life would help keep it in the conversation in between Nintendo's big first-party offerings. I also think it would be a great opportunity for people who only have a Nintendo console to play some incredible games that they might not have had access to otherwise. I don't expect many of the big next-gen games like GTA 6 or Monster Hunter Wilds to be on Switch 2, but I think there are a lot of other games like Persona 3 Reload or the Resident Evil 4 remake that could easily run on it if it truly ends up having a roughly PS4 level of power like the rumors suggest. In a perfect world, these games would be priced a bit lower since they aren't new releases anymore, but that's probably a bit too hopeful. Mario will create the biggest amount of hype as always, but I'm hoping there's a strong show of support from other companies to make this new platform feel like a big upgrade right from the start. The original Switch got a few really impressive ports of games that I never would have guessed could run on that system, so a more powerful console could bring all kinds of exciting third-party games. Those are a few of the things I'd like to see from the Switch 2, and now I'll hand it back over to MrDean to end it off.
Finally, wrapping up my thoughts on user profile features, I think it would be awesome to be able to make a short bio that would be displayed underneath your icon. This is an idea I got inspired inspired from playing Rocket League, but in that game people are able to equip a tag after winning a tournament that shows that they, well, won the tournament. What if certain games on the Switch occasionally had challenges that would last a few days and completing it allowed some sort of profile customization option that showed that you completed the challenge? For example, maybe for a week there is a challenge in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that requires you to use a certain amount of items in online races. Win a certain amount of races, there are so many possibilities for this kind of thing. The next portion of this video that desperately needs a facelift is the homepage. Right now it has this very minimal corporate vibe, which is very boring to look at, so here are a few things that I would love to see. First of all is a theme song. Preferably something minimal like how it was with the Wii and the Wii U, just something to actually hear in the background. Maybe you could use achievement points to buy extra songs, some of which could be from Nintendo games, who knows. Also, it would be great for us to have some more homepage themes instead of just basic black and white. And once again, just to really drive the achievement point home, maybe you could use the achievements to get extra themes. Knowing Nintendo, they would probably charge money for all this extra stuff like how they did with the 3DS, but let me just be happy in this fantasy, okay? As for other little things to spice up the homepage, I think it would be dope if when hovering over a game in the homepage, a little animation plays like how it was on the Wii. Realistically, this would probably be only for select games, but even if it was, that would still be sick. This would be kind of like how Apple Music has animated album covers for certain albums, and it's a really awesome feature on that platform. Another little idea is the ability to pick between a handful of fonts to use for the homepage. As for the layout itself, I don't really have a problem with it personally. I think that the lack of music and customizable themes hurts it more than anything else. Alright, so the rest of my ideas are rapid fire, so let's get through these. Let's make it so the mobile app for the console allows you to access the eShop and purchase games wherever, like how you can do on other platforms. I think a lot of people have been clamoring for this one, but GameCube functionality on Nintendo Switch Online would be sick. And writing on that point, can we please get triggers that actually push all the way down like how the GameCube controller worked? Not only would that allow GameCube games to actually play properly, but also it just feels better to use anyway. And speaking of controllers, I don't really care how different the Joy-Cons are personally, as long as Joy-Con drift is fixed. If we are going to change anything about the Joy-Cons, maybe adding a headphone jack and interchangeable buttons would make me one happy man. This one is a given, but please be backward compatible with all Switch games and allow you to use your current cartridges / digital purchases. Nintendo allowed you to do this with the Wii and Wii U as well as the DS and 3DS, but I just had to throw that in there. Let's get more multimedia features, including the ability to access the web and listen to music on Spotify. A lot of people talk about how powerful they want the new console to be, and to me personally, I think that 1080p on handheld and 4K through upscaling on dock would be perfectly fine. Honestly, I wouldn't want it to be higher than 1080p on a tablet, as the battery life is way more important to me in that department. And finally, I think it is pretty important that we include more storage out of the box. 32 gigabytes just is not gonna cut it. So yeah, that all is what would make me personally happy in terms of the next Switch console. I know other people have their own priorities of what they want to see, and that is perfectly fine. Please let me know in the comments what kinds of things you want to see with the next system, and as always, peace out.